Greetings, salutations. Happy Tuesday, August the 18th, 2026. Welcome to Backstage, the daily show for entrepreneurs, founders, visionaries, and builders ready to stop waiting in the wings and let their stories power their growth. Thank you for joining me. A little later start than normal. Got a little doctor's appointment, but we're back in the seat, back in the chair, back on the mic. Today, more reinforcements for what it means to build a business and build a sales pipeline in 2026 and beyond. It is about community. It is about events. And I want to share with you a little media story that I ran across that just came out on, let's see, what was it? On The Verge. The Verge. They have I don't know if it's a podcast or I haven't looked into it too deeply, but they have some kind of interview thing that they do. And yesterday they published an interview with the editor-in-chief, Ben Smith, the editor-in-chief of Semafor. Semafor is a media outlet, a news media outlet. All right. Kind of a highbrow, if you will, news for people for educated people, people with degrees kind of thing. That's how they're positioning themselves in the market. Okay, I'm not trying to argue it either way, but that's how they've positioned themselves. But here, the thing that caught my eye was what this editor-in-chief, Ben Smith, talked about in the interview. He talked about a bunch of different things. And I actually went on and confirmed. I search for these things using ChatGPT or some other source, and then I usually go and read it to make sure it's accurate. But this is what caught my eye. Semafor has become profitable. Now, Semafor is only a couple years old, and they are doing what Smith calls an anti-scale business. So in their case, they're not trying to they're not trying to grow like a traditional media and news media company would grow. They've deliberately moved away from the old digital media kind of maximum traffic strategy, like get as many people to come onto your site, to subscribe, etc. Half of its revenue, or roughly half, comes from what they call convening or events, IRL, things people can do. And they're looking to reach a specific, valuable audience of political, business, nonprofit, and other decision makers through journalism, email, video, and in-person events, rather than trying to win the largest possible audience. So they've turned this into a profitable business in a relatively short period of time, on the thesis that it's not about having 1 million followers, it's about 1,000 people who matter to your business, and understand why you matter and are really dedicated to you. So this just drives home the point that whether you're running a media organization or you're running a leadership consultancy or you're running AI enablement, AI integration company or whatever it is, unless you're selling some kind of low dollar commodity where it's all about price and your delivery acumen, right? Your supply chain ability. If it's services, especially, or high dollar things that require services to implement and make them work, you're better off building a smaller but more concentrated, spot on, not just audience, but ultimately community, and give them things they can do, places they can go, places they can meet. You want to be, this is how I'm thinking of it. You want to become the hub of energy. You want to become the nucleus around which everyone interested in your specialty topic sees you at the center. If I want information, I go to that person. If I want to meet someone relevant to this topic, you're the top of mind. You want to be the hub and energy source, right? If I'm plugged into you, and that's why terms like, personal brand don't really cut it. It's not about, you're going to develop a brand if you do this enough. You don't have to worry about that. But I don't think personal branding as a topic captures at all. It's too shallow. Sorry about the sirens. If you can hear sirens, we got sirens going off. It's the city, it's the real and raw city life with lots of sirens. But maybe it's a siren, saying, hey, this is a great topic. But I guess what I'm saying is that how could you think about your industry. Who do you know? Maybe they're not even in your industry, but who do you know who is not just center of attention, center of gravity, somebody who pulls people in because they are so valuable. They not only make you feel good, but they're there when you need them. They're there through thick and thin. They provide information. They think of you when you're, they think of you. Even when you're lost, suddenly you realize that hey, listen, I met someone, I think, they refer people to you without you even asking. They send you information that they think is valuable. Those are the types of people that can build on a small and growing community, if you will, that can feed them for decades, for their whole career even. And so this is how I am really thinking. I've been doing business development for decades, since I was in my early 20s, really. Actually a little bit before that, but gosh, yeah. So I'm more than 30 years into doing business development of all sorts. Everything from cold calling, door knocking, email campaigns. I mean, all of it, from the very lowest level, dialing for dollars, up to selling multi-million-dollar things through complex, long relationship building that involves engineers and accountants and things like that. I've done all of that. And I can tell you that right now, the opportunity to build community around yourself and give people meaningful connection, insight, and good vibes, as the kids would say, create good vibes around you, and you become the gravitational force, the gravitational pull. And when you want to talk about inbound traffic, it's all about having gravitational pull. It's all about people talking about you, sharing your stuff. It makes the content that you put out there more of a pull. The content itself isn't the pull. It's the gravitational force that you build around yourself with these other people that suddenly makes the same content that maybe you would have posted 6 months prior more effective in bringing inbound, because it's not as much about the content sometimes as it is about the environment in which the content is put out there. Does that make sense? That's how I see it. And I hope it helps you frame how do you create gravitational pull around you? Comes down to how can you serve a particular community in a meaningful way. It's not always obvious on the front end, especially if you're transitioning from another industry or kind of role. If you're going from internal to external, it is not necessarily obvious how you do that, but you need to start doing it and seeing what works, and seeing not just what works, but what the need is out there. So research, curiosity, connection. That's my rant today. Not really a rant. I hope it's helpful. Let's all create some gravitational pull. It does take a while. This isn't an overnight thing, but it also doesn't have to take forever. And as Semafor proved, it really can create a multi-million-dollar profitable business in a relatively short period of time when you are creating events for people that are meaningful. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Drop me a note on Substack. Where do you see your gravitational pull coming from? What's the number one type of value you think you can bring to your target this week with no direct sales motive, just service? Because in that seed is probably a whole garden's worth of vegetables. Thank you as always for listening. Please, as always, be good to yourself and others. Invite someone else that you know who's a builder, a visionary, an entrepreneur to join us for these daily little nuggets. And we will, as usual, check back again with you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.